Hi everyone. I wanted to talk about something I'm quite preoccupied by. I call it Zigzag think. It's quite difficult to explain what it is, so the best way to explain is through examples. And I find that these examples help me in the real world, the world I'm living in. Here's one. In, I suppose, the early 18th century, new technology began to change the way societies in Northern Europe did things. Things like weaving blankets and sails for ships and everything else. Until that point, in places like Flanders, what's now Belgium, and across in Holland as well, most of the weaving was done by women, and these women were impoverished and they feared more than anything for their jobs because they were at the point of starvation already. And they heard that a new technology, a loom technology, was coming, and it did come. And this technology, which eventually used a very simple version of punch hole cards with holes in them, which was later used in computerization. These punch hole cards and other associated technologies allowed the weaving companies, these firms, to develop on a scale and in directions that they had never imagined before. And of course, the people who lived hanging by a thread, working night and day in the loom mills, were terrified out of their wits because they thought they would be made unemployed. So they did something quite radical. On their feet, they wore clogs, wooden clogs, which they called sabot, S-A-B-O-T. And the sabot were quite hard. And in a moment of incredible revolution and rage, they took off their sabots off their feet and they threw them into the mechanisms of the new fangled loom machines to break them. And the machines broke. And of course, the loom owners were incensed, but they repaired the machines because they had a feeling that the machines that they had spent a fortune on could change the way things were done. And what happened was that when the machines were repaired and the weavers continued their work, it was found that there was far more work for everyone. There was a huge amount of work. More sails could be woven, more blankets could be woven, more sheets and textiles of every kind could be woven. And these textiles were exported to all corners of the world. There was more employment than anyone had ever dreamed of. And the final detail of this is the one that I love most of all. It's that from this moment in history, from the revolution and the rage of the weavers in the early 19th century, we get the word from their sabots, sabotage. And as we move into an era of AI and ChatGPT and all this crazy stuff that we're reading about all the time, I think we should spare a thought for the weavers of Flanders and not be so fearful about the future, but rather embrace it. If we look at the world ahead, the road ahead, in a new way and not by only looking at the past, I think doors will open in the most extraordinary way.